With me, my ultimate goal is, I can say it pretty much in a sentence, is it used to be that I want to be a rapper, I want to be J. Cole, I want to be Eminem, I want to do all that shit and be an artist. And now it's just a little different, as in I want to inspire other artists, entrepreneurs, people to own themselves and live their truth. What's going on? My name is Cole Kana.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Jacqueline.
And we're BOWGO.
And we're BOWGO. My nose just itches. It won't stop. We can't start over for like the fifth time.
I know. Today we're going to talk about if you want to start a business as a creative, or really anyone in general, what happens next? What do you do? What?
Yeah, we've
Seriously.
been getting a lot of questions from some people about how we got on this journey, where we think this journey is going to take us.
Yeah, and quick, like, about us, we run a business right now where
three businesses really.
Yeah, we run a lot of different businesses, but let's just by the government standpoint, we have one business.
Well, one is our personal brand, which we haven't actually quite monetized yet. Nothing like crazy. So, I mean, we're tax exempt.
Yeah. And then we have our production company, and then we have our real estate photography end. So she's right. We do have three different businesses. Right now, we're clocking in, between 8 and 12K a month, which for us is freaking amazing. Just depends. It's obviously a big gap. We're working on that right now.
To put it relatively speaking, we've only been doing this for a year and 2 months.
Yes.
And
so coming from, like, for me, making like $1,000 a month, $1,800 a month, this is pretty freaking awesome.
We make that much money, and then we also have about 4 part-time employees. Yes. And then we have one who is our manager specifically for real estate. And I don't know what his hours are clocking. It's probably still part-time, but he is, just like we promised him, he is growing with us, and he's making more and more money. And so our goal is to be able to have him be able to do what he wants, I guess, in his own time, have a flexible schedule, have full-time pay but part-time hours. Yeah, something like that. So, and
we've been able to just create this through a series of unfortunate and fortunate events, where we're now actually giving opportunities to people and creating passive income for ourselves, so that way we can focus on what we really want to do and be creative. And that's why we're here talking about it right now.
I mean, it'd be really amazing, like another year from now, but when we're making 3 times as much money or 4 times, to be able to come back and look on this and see if we have anything that we want to add to it. But there's nothing better than the now, when we're living it. We can relate to you. We are still dealing with like the real life struggles. Yeah. It's like I guess it's like we're not struggling like we were a year ago, obviously.
It's
but
different
just,
struggles.
It's
things
like
change.
the growing. And so, let's just get into it then. So that's just a gist of us really quickly.
Yeah, that's who we are if you don't know who we are. This kind of came about because someone that I met recently messaged me on Facebook, and he's living with his parents now. He graduated from college, and his job prospect isn't looking how he thought it was going to look. And he saw Apollo's Bow and saw what we were doing. He was just like, bro, where do you start? Like, how do I create myself, or how do I use my skills to create value for someone, and then in turn create a business with those skills? And we ended up chatting back and forth, and I was telling him a little bit of my story, but it really got me thinking that I think people don't know where to start at all.
It's definitely overwhelming. And so hopefully through this we can give you some tools that we've used. Yeah. And I'm not going to lie and say that it's easy. I don't know what I was going to say. What I was going to say is that we're lucky to have each other.
Yeah.
Having each other has made us be able to grow at the rate that we're growing, for sure. And so it's a little bit unfair if you don't have a significant other who is willing and has the same passion or same goals like we do, because plenty of people get married and love each other and then they have two completely different jobs. But Cole and I like live and breathe this business, and then that has also led to its own issues that we've touched upon prior to that.
Yeah, and I think that, or don't get scared if you don't have that, because you definitely don't need that. That's kind of what I want to talk about a little today, and I want Jacqueline to kind of give her thoughts about how.
Sorry, we got
that's why that was so loud.
the Bluetooth on.
Yeah, sorry about that. So really, the first thing I want to talk about before we really get into either of our stories is, if you're thinking about starting a business, what is your dream? Like, what is your goal in life? You have to know this. And if you don't know 100%, you have to have an idea of the direction you want to go. So then you can know why this business is the business your dream, or is this the business just a step on the road to your dream? And so beginning with that, I want us to kind of both dive into what that is to us.
Yeah, and I'd like to definitely say that when you're thinking about your goals and dreams, what are your goals and dreams if money wasn't an issue, if connections and networking, wasn't an issue? Just so, like, let's say Cole's a rapper and he's like, oh, well, I want to be a millionaire rapper and tour, and I want to meet J. Cole. Like, that's the dream. And then what you would do is you would write down your dreams, your goals, all the steps that it would take if you had no hindrances, and then you would go back and you would revise that plan or write it next to it. The reality. So you want to meet J. Cole. You perform for J. Cole. J. Cole loves you. He hires you. You go on tour. Cool. That's the dream world. So how do you make that happen in the reality? So what are the steps you need to take to meet J. Cole? Like, how are you going to hunt down that agent number? How are you going to create tracks that, relate to J. Cole, relate to you or something, like what is the research that you're putting in just for that one step to meet J. Cole? And then once you have met him, how do you keep him? What does that mean to go on tour? What are you sacrificing when you're on tour? Like, do I come on tour with him? Do we still, do I go buy that house we were planning to buy? Or do I come with him? And then if I come with him, what does that mean? So, there are millions of steps that go into implementing your goals and dreams, even if you had
manifesting.
Yeah, even if you had no issues in the world, everything just fell into your lap, there are still steps you have to take. And in order to manifest your goals and dreams, in order for the universe to be able to meet you, it has to be able to meet you halfway. You have to put in the work. You have to have a clear and concise list of steps and a vision that you are trying to accomplish. Otherwise, the universe doesn't know how to provide to you, what you need.
So briefly though, what is your goal and dream, and how does what we're doing right now, take a step in that direction? And let's just keep it brief so we can move to the real stuff.
Yeah, so we've touched upon this before, but for me, ultimately, I want to be a healer of sorts. I want to have the skills necessary to put me at the level of, or the caliber of, a shaman. I don't know if I necessarily want to practice being a shaman, but I want to have those skills in my back pocket. And I want to manage a business that is a health and healing center, an incubator of sorts, that's not just focused on adults, but focused on children and bringing them up. So having a kindergarten of sorts, an urban garden where they can come and pick veggies. It's a very complex dream, and
that's awesome.
I've thought it through a lot. So anyways, so that's my dream. And so what we're doing now, how does that relate? All of it relates, but maybe not as obviously as it would seem. Yeah. So being a manager and being a leader, that obviously if I want to have a business, I need to be able to excel at that. I've gone to school for massage therapy. I consistently read books on nutrition. It's it's just in me now, nutrition and whatnot. I study crystals, astrology. I strive to meet people like that. I will continue to go to school and have plans for that. And so that is to be able to better relate to the people in my field, to be able to network, to be able to hire as a manager and leader, to know what I'm looking for. And then the kids aspect, we want to have kids. We talk about it. We do research. Our business, we have managed to organize and understand financial success and well-being and filing your taxes as an independent and whatever, that obviously goes into my future dream. And then we flipped something like real estate photography, which is not necessarily something I ever expected. It fell into my lap. I have flipped that into passive income. And so it was just like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, oh, so it's helping me fuel my dream and it's passive income. So that was really quickly. I know I rambled, but everything does tie in. And I know this because I reflect constantly and I check in and I make sure, okay, how do these skills relate to my dream? How can I better utilize them? And if you can't find that, or if I wasn't able to see that, that means that I need to change what I'm doing now. So if I couldn't find anything positive coming out of real estate, one, I maybe need to change the direction of the business. Two, maybe just drop it. You know, it's really, if it's hindering me in a negative way that much, then it's not right for me. But it wasn't, and it hasn't been, and it's been great. So yeah.
Yeah, that was very brief. I love it.
Thank you. Was it? Okay. Yeah, because I could talk for hours, and my dream is complex. And so my parents always tell me, oh, you're doing so much, so much, so much. I mean, that's the Aries in me. Like, we love starting projects. When we are in our being, when we are at our ultimate prime, the number one thing typically for Aries is we love to give back. We love to be mentors. And yesterday I didn't learn this, but someone said it, and it was like a huge thing. When we're not in our well-being, when our plate is too full, we start to get aggravated, short-tempered. That's when the typical Aries kind of comes out. So when I'm overwhelmed with business and I'm not taking care of myself, that's when shit really hits the fan.
Yes.
So yeah.
And that is incredible.
So I'm not doing too much.
Yeah, we've had to learn how to fix all that. And with me, my ultimate goal is, I can say it pretty much in a sentence, is it used to be that I want to be a rapper, I want to be J. Cole, I want to be Eminem, I want to do all that shit and be an artist. And now it's just a little different, as in I want to inspire other artists, entrepreneurs, people to own themselves and live their truth using art of any kind. I used not to be that way. I used to just rap. Now I'm playing more music, I'm singing, I'm rapping, I'm doing video, photo. We're doing a lot of shit. But even podcasting, honestly, this is a way for me to just be creative, have fun, entertaining.
Well, I mean, and in this day and age, like, putting your face in front of the camera is a big deal. And I was never too keen on that, but it was a skill that I wanted to learn. And so I'm really thankful for this. So another tie-in. Exactly. How am I supposed to be able to speak in front of a whole panel of investors one day? Or even people who might be intimidating, have so much more experience than me, and I'm supposed to be hiring them. So this is great. Like, I love this world we've created. Yeah,
it's pretty insane. And for me, how my dream fits into all this, it's obvious, like the creative stuff we're doing, but I had to find a way to make money to fuel that stuff. And that's kind of what all this is about, to give us the time to make money with our brand. Yeah. So, like, taking a step off of that, if you rewind like 3 years ago, I want to kind of use our story, and in the beginning specifically mine, to pretty much inspire you, teach you. So maybe you don't have to go through some of the same struggles that I went to, or if you're kind of struggling, where do I go? What do I do? You kind of know the next step to take, pretty much.
And I will say this, Cole and I, we typically have like big, long, like day or 2 day long meetings about our business, and that happens like once a month. And I can tell you that by the next month, we've probably only done a quarter of those things on that list, because our business is constantly changing. So yes, it is overwhelming, but at the same time, I wouldn't sacrifice those meetings knowing that it won't be the same, because we still need those to check in with ourselves, make sure that they are aligned with us. And then, I don't know, I think when we come out of those meetings with a positive mindset, other things fall into our place that are better suited for what we need. And then we're able to just, once again, rework our plan. Like, if you're trying to plan for something 20 years in advance, like, it's every day it's going to change, and you need to be aware of that. So that's okay. Don't be overwhelmed. Like, once again, people say we're doing too much, but everything has a purpose. Everything has a purpose.
As long as you don't overwhelm yourself.
Exactly.
But I think, let me just rewind for a second. So you take it back to where I'm 21 years old. I moved to Columbia, South Carolina. Why do I move? Because my mentor is in Columbia, South Carolina. We start recording music, and I'm like, shit, I want to make it as a rapper. That's all I had on my mind. Money was not the motivator. It was, I just want to be a rapper. I don't care if I make 100K, like 50K. Am I surviving? I want to be a rapper. So I was serving food in the meantime. I was miserable serving food. She has a very different serving experience. But all I wanted to do was make music. I just wanted to be in my little apartment making music. But serving was just dreadful and draining. But I didn't have to think about it all the time. I just went in for my 5-hour shift, came back with $20 because I made shit and it was horrible. But I got to focus on the music. As I kind of was learning about how... I learned that it's not about the talent. I saw people who were, it's a perspective thing, but people who were just as good or less good at making music make it in the game. Like I saw them start right beside me and just, and I was like, what is it? What is it? I don't know. If I can't make a viral video, what do I have to learn? Boom. What do I have to learn? I have to learn social media. You have to learn web design. You have to learn branding. All the stuff that creates marketing agencies or marketing companies or consultants. You have to learn all that stuff.
Yeah.
Especially
if you don't have money. So it's like how to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Obviously the school of YouTube. You go there to learn everything, developing the eye. But in the end, yeah, we might not be the best at making logos or the best at this and that, but it does make us better leaders. It makes me a better manager. It makes me a better CEO when I have this huge ass company, because it's not that I need to know how to be the best at it, but I need to know what it takes to do that. I need to know what I'm looking for. So.
And if you have a creative eye, I think you can pretty much figure all this stuff out. And that's where we're just creatives in general, so we're able to kind of pick it up. But I'm not going to lie, being a creative and learning that stuff, it's all learned. Like my mentor taught me so much just about design, and then I started studying it myself to the point where I almost got better. I would say I definitely got better at it, and that comes in so many things in life. Like someone teaches you something and it opens up your mind a little bit, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, I could totally do that. And that's kind of what happened over the next couple of years. From 21 to 23, I started doing more and more, taking on more responsibility with all the different things I was involved with, learning social media, running it for the businesses that I was associated with, taking internships with local magazines. I did an internship with a PR firm that turned into a part-time job, and I just started developing these skills to the point. And it's not just developing the skill. It's really, when you have a mentor, I highly recommend getting a mentor in some capacity. If it's not in real life, then YouTube or something of the sort. Because YouTube definitely.
Find someone who's doing something that you love, or if you love multiple things, multiple people, but 5 people or something that you look up to.
Yeah, 100%. It really. I studied my mentor hardcore. I watched the way he moved, watched the way he talked. I studied him so in depth that I don't even know, it almost affected the way I moved. I started to move so much like him that I became less of myself. But what that did was it taught me how to carry myself, pretty much, how to own myself from a perspective of a 40-year-old man who owns his own thing. So
and then your mind shifted, though.
Yeah. You're talking about what we want to talk about next.
Well, I was just saying, I guess, because you were you looked up to him, you replicated, almost lost yourself, but...
Yeah, because you can easily lose yourself.
Yeah, and then there was a mind shift for you where you were, starting to question, and I remember you saying this, you started to question why he did the things that he did. So, at first, you're emulating, and then it's almost... like a survival thing. You want to be that person, you emulate them, you don't quite understand. Then all of a sudden you've created the space or the time to be able to now start to question, why does he do this? And then how does it fit or not fit with who I am? And then you can start to chip away.
Because that's how
tweak and
that's how someone runs their own thing. So that happened in way more than one instance. Almost every single business that I associated with, people I worked for, not the mentor, like PR firm or magazines, I kept being like, why do they do that? Why aren't they doing this in my head? And this is a little bit, you can call it youth, ego, whatever you want to call it, but I was like, it's not the way I would do it. Like, I would do it better, or do it in my eyes better, or do it differently. Then you kind of realize, and this is a realization you commented on earlier, but I just really feel, some people know a lot, obviously, but what I started to realize was these people who are in the community doing things, they don't know shit. Like, they just really are just like living life. Like, everyone's just like, oh, I'm living life, or I'm doing this.
Or it's just like all the networking, I think, and disregard for really what you know. I don't know. It's a little bit weird.
Yeah, it was this realization where people, even adults, like I'm like 22, 21 in this phase, but even people who are like know all the people, know all the things, they don't know all the things. Like, they actually know things, but they're still just trying to figure it out. Like, everyone's big babies. Joe Rogan said that on a podcast one time. Yeah. It's like we're all just big babies, and that I connected with that so hard, because it's like I felt that way as a baby in the business world. I started to grow so fast that I was just like, there is just a bunch of babies. Like, I can come in and take over if I wanted to. Like, I'm putting in all the right places and know all the right people. It's just it was a really interesting concept. I don't know if you out there listening can, or if you've ever felt like that. But once I had that realization, I realized that I actually can bring a lot of value, and that if these people who don't really know what they're doing or floating around figuring it out too, if they're doing it and they're 35, 45, have their own businesses, I can do the same thing. That was kind of like the mindset shift for me in the very beginning. It was like, I can actually sell a service to these people. And at this point, I had learned social media. I had learned web design. I had learned a little bit of branding. Not enough necessarily to make money off of it, but enough to attempt. Because I definitely
But I mean,
tried.
really, so it's like the attempt, it doesn't matter how much they paid you, but really the attempt, you inserted yourself where you realized people needed something. And so I think maybe sometimes people get too caught up in like how much money they're making, and maybe you got to pay the bills, so I get it. But sometimes you just have to assert yourself. You have to go to this person, speak with confidence, and go, I can give you this. This is what you need, and I'm going to do this for you for this low price of $50 or something like that. Because, I mean, everybody needs like a portfolio of sorts, and you need that real world practice. Exactly. So it's just understanding what you can bring to the table. And so when you're trying to figure that out, it's like, what makes you happy? Like, think about your day, and like today, what made you laugh? So like back in the day, I was a math major, and I'd be like, oh my God, like numbers used to make me so happy. So I was like, I want to go into research. The more I got into it, I realized what makes me happy is people, and connecting with people and mentoring with people. And I realized that with my major, yeah, I'd be around people, but when you're doing research, you're with the same people ultimately. And it was more of a long-term goal, maybe too broad. And I'm also an instant gratification. I knew that wasn't for me. I wanted like a more direct impact with a little bit more of like an instant gratification. And so I knew it wasn't for me. And then like he said, my serving experience is different because I love food. I love nutrition. And so serving for me, I loved it. It challenged me to speak to strangers, which I'd always been really shy. So I love the service industry because it would push me to speak to people. You don't know who they are, where they're from. So being able to convey yourself, I don't know, like a chameleon, like being able to read the table and understand what they need. Do they need good, like, do they need you to be invisible? Do they need you to be there all the time? You know, et cetera, et cetera. And then the food aspect. See, I tell you, everything you do has a purpose. You just have to find it.
That's so true.
Find the value, recognize the value, but appreciate the value, no matter how small or big. But so for me, there's so much that goes into like communication, reading a table,
dealing with people,
and then the nutrition. So because I love the food, I was better able to describe food to people. It's also what pushed me to work in fine dining. So when I moved to Boulder, I worked at this amazing restaurant, this Italian restaurant, like right downtown on Pearl Street, right in front of the courthouse. So I mean, you're getting like rich ass people, you know? And here I am. I remember like I'm supposed to be selling wine bottles, and we would have these like wine tastings, and we'd learn all about them. And I did my best to learn whiskey tastings, everything. And for a while, I'm like, why am I not selling these expensive bottles like everybody else is? And it was my mindset. And I remember I realized that the way that I was speaking was making them question the value of the wine, questioning whether or not they wanted to spend the money, you know? And so when I realized that, I remember the first like $200 bottle of wine I sold during lunch. And it was because I went in and I spoke in a very direct manner that I didn't even mention the price. I didn't say anything. I was just like, this wine is from this country and it tastes like this and it pairs with this and it's really delicious. I'm going to pour you a glass. They bought the bottle. Boom. After that, I was selling bottles all the time.
That
Crazy.
really connects. I connect that with later on what we want to talk about, because we're going to have several episodes in this little series on building and starting a business. But that really when you start to really value your work and put the proper value on it, that mindset shift, to me, that's immediately what I think of, because when you bring that to the table, you're speaking on it in a different way because you know the value.
Well, yeah. It was, I noticed what the other people are doing and I tried to emulate it, and then I was like, how can I apply this to my life? Or why am I not doing what they're doing? And I realized that I was bringing my own insecurities to the table. Like, I don't have money for a $200 bottle of wine, or I wouldn't do that for lunch or something like that. But they could feel that. Yeah, it was coming out subconsciously in my word choice. So anyways, that's kind of a little bit of my story. I've traveled, I've gone to festivals, I've worked on a organic farm, met a lot of entrepreneurs continuously. So these were all mentors in their own right. You know, every business they owned, I asked them how they got into it, what they did, were they successful, were they happy. I noticed that in Colorado, and at least maybe because I was on this farm, but everybody I met fucking owned their own business. They were all entrepreneurs, and that really shifted my mindset. And then that's when I realized that I could follow my journey of health and spirituality and turn that into a dream and a business and a successful one. Yeah. So
that's a beautiful thing right there. For me, I don't think I quite connected it to how I can really complete my dream with it. I was so excited for a little while when I realized I could make my own money. I was just like, wow, I'm actually can do this. And I actually wake up every day, and it's scary. It's like extremely scary and extremely risky. But yeah, before I get into that,
so that's
I want to talk about this real quick. I was delivering, so I served food, then I started delivering pizza like 2015, something like that. I did it for like 2 years. It was full time for a second, but then I got the PR job part time, and I just wasn't happy. I was just miserable. It goes back to the serving thing. I did not enjoy it at all. I mean, you can always like little positives about it with the people you meet and the blah, 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 and the blah, blah.
I mean, it made you hustle harder. It did. If that was like, you know, the grass is green. I think it also made you, maybe if not hustle, it made you appreciate the fact that like you really wanted to be an entrepreneur. You really wanted to own yourself. I think it helped you relate to other people who are miserable, and that's why you're here and why you like to give back.
Yes.
Like, this is why you crave so much to mentor people, is because nobody hates it more than to be stuck in a job that you don't like.
As a rapper, every fucking day I was just driving. I mean, it was the best job for me as a rapper. So if you're an upcoming rapper, deliver pizza. I mean, I was just driving around listening to music, getting ideas all day. I was trying to think of the next Facebook. I was trying to think. My brain would hurt after shifts because I was thinking so hard about how to get to the next level. So then one day, I say it all the time, I called my mom and I was like, I'd been brainstorming. She is in the construction industry with my stepdad, and we talked about real estate.
They build really nice homes.
They do. They're really Paradise Point Construction in Beaufort. If you know, you know. But I looked at their property descriptions, and it's honestly a really blurry phase. I don't even know 100% the details. But I was like, Mom, I can write property descriptions, and I think I can get paid for it, like $30 a property description. Because I was trying to think of ways I could utilize my skills right now, and I kind of just started with the PR firm, like officially, and I was like doing their stuff with them, the social media, etc. And I was trying to think of an extra way I could make income so I could quit my pizza job. So
that property description turned into what to this today?
A property description side hustle freelance turned into this $100,000 3 companies put together, which is
passive income thing.
Which is crazy. Yeah. But it started like that, and I was kind of terrified, but I had the PR job too, and I knew I could like make it work somehow, and I had a little bit of money saved. Maybe I don't know if I did. I wasn't really smart with my money, I'm not gonna lie, but my mom was like, if you think you can do it, I support you. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. So then what happened is I used my credit card, I bought my camera.
Cards.
No, that didn't come till later. I used one credit card that I had, and I just spent like $1,000. I bought the cheapest camera that would work. Her real estate agent let me, I don't know, but she let me take pictures of the house. The pictures were awful, but she didn't notice. White balance was horrible. They were all extremely yellow. Oh my God. And afterwards, I was like, I don't know how to fix them. I was freaking out.
I cringe when I see these photos.
But what's so funny is I got my first check, and it was actually double what I charge for pictures now. I was like, I'll charge $200 for a house. And so I got this $200, which granted,
it's framed in our office, guys.
Yeah, like I made like $200 a week at the PR firm or something like that. So this was like in one shoot. I was like, oh my God, this is insane. So that's kind of what got me excited. I quit the pizza job, and that whole summer, it was the summer of 2016, I believe. I just was like grinding it out, like brainstorming, emailing people. But before I get into like what the specifics that I did, it really was like that before phase. I didn't have an official business, but I had to create like plans pretty much. I was like brainstorming, what do I want my business to be about? What am I going to do exactly? How am I going to do it? How do you start a business? How am I going to make enough money? There's like all these things that you have to think about.
When did you start that? So I guess I said we've been doing this for a year and 2 months. And the reason I kind of say that is because, yes, there's all this preliminary stuff that went into it. When I met him, obviously he had filed for, a business license. He'd been kind of filing business taxes. I don't fucking know. So
I had
pretty much when I met him, it's almost like it was like scratch. He had all these plans, but he was still running around with his head chopped off. Granted, you were doing so much more, like trying to be a rapper and albums and all this other side work that his mentor was getting him to do for him and for their like platform and name. But when I met him, it was pretty much, no offense, but it was still like running like shit.
It was in shambles.
I was
struggling so hard. I was like stuck at this level where I couldn't get past because I was so busy with all the other stuff. It was very stressful. Yeah. But I really want to.
He has a thing where he likes to have like his plate just heaped with shit on it, and I like to be the one that's like, okay, we take this off, we just throw this one away, burn that one.
But I've learned that that's not the best way to be. And now, though it may seem like we have a ton of stuff on our plate, we're a lot more strategic and balanced about how we do it. Yeah. But anyway, so if you're before you take that risk, and we got our first like client, you have to, your finances, I'm not going to tell you to do it the way I did it necessarily, but you got to do what you got to do. I got into heaps of credit card debt, and I was not prepared properly to quit my jobs. But here's the thing, if you don't fucking do it, you won't do it.
Yeah.
I've talked to so many people since then, and they're like, oh, I'm negative in my bank account, or I'm this, I'm that, but I still have this other job. And you're negative in your bank account, but you still have a full-time job? Like, you're doing something wrong. Be negative and be an entrepreneur on your own, because you'll grow and get to the next level. What are you doing?
I mean, you are in credit card debt, and obviously, like, nobody wants to be in credit card debt, but so many people, and I think we've all been there too, when you don't have the financial education, you get overwhelmed and almost insecure. And I know there are times where I would just avoid looking at my bank account. I would avoid reaching out to bankers for help and learning how to properly manage your credit. And so don't be afraid. I mean, obviously, we're not talking about like hundreds of thousands of dollars. No. Don't be afraid to have credit card debt. I mean, there are ways where you can like literally defer your payments and whatnot, or like the company will work with you. You take a hit on your credit, but you can always come back from it. If that's what it takes, if that's what's stopping you from chasing your dream or buying that piece of equipment that you need, make the fucking purchase.
I agree.
And worry about it later.
I do want to say that I got myself in a little bit of trouble, and Jacqueline kind of saved me from it in credit card debt. So I don't want to be like, definitely do that. But for me, honestly, besides, I could have probably borrowed money from my parents. Maybe. I don't really know for sure. Yeah. But I imagine I could have in some instances. But sometimes you just don't want to do that. Like it's not even, I mean, it is a pride thing, but it's also like, I need to know that I can do this. And there was a lot of scary times. But that I want to talk about right now, that first move of where I invested my only credit card into buying that camera. If you have that opportunity, that choice, you have to do it. You have to do it. And the last thing I want to talk about on this episode, because we're already getting close to like 40 minutes, and I want to save the other stuff for the other one, is that you have to put in no matter what you do, you have to put in like tons of time. For me, it was kind of like a sidestep for my dream, and it was at a time when I was about to drop a huge album, like when I was really starting this up, like in the first year. So it was kind of like a super sideways weird step, but I had a gut feeling that I had to make my own money or I was going to stay stagnant, because no one had their best eye out for me other than me. Like I was the only one that could really change and take hold of my future. So as I started to, like before I started the business, you have to just really get together a plan, do the proper research, do the proper development. Don't try to just jump into one thing. I see tons of people buying classes, and then a month later they're like, well, I don't know, I'm just not really doing it anymore. Like before you spend $300 on a stupid ass class, please do some YouTube research. Yeah. All the information's out there. I learned every single thing I've learned from either mentors and internships or YouTube. So much from YouTube.
I learned everything. Like, I'm 28 years old. And I feel like, I wasn't doing anything for my career. I was pretty much just traveling and doing whatever the F I want. And I will say that, like, there are times when I was really, really, really broke. But I didn't care because my life was in abundance in so many other aspects. And at the same time, though, all that, like, being broke and living paycheck to paycheck, gave me all the tools that I needed. Like, I managed the restaurant in Boulder. He opened up another one, and I ended up helping manage that. My parents have a business. I helped manage that. I helped my sister start her embroidery company. Like, so many things where I was bouncing around, bouncing, just experiencing life brought me to this point where now I met Cole and I was like, I'm going to manage the shit out of your business. Like, I'm going to be so fucking annoying that you're going to love it. Like,
and that's really exactly what happened.
So, everyone hears it. It's cliche. Cole struggles with it. I struggle with it. You always think like, oh, time's running out, or that person did this and did that. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, coming from a mom who's Korean, has like very traditional, should have went to college, pretty much disowned me when I dropped out. Do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do.
There is no, like,
please.
Cole, there was as many mentors as he had. There was nobody like him and nobody to tell him. And the ones that were telling him not to do stuff weren't doing what he was doing. And so he had to take the risk. He was scared, but he did it. Like, I was as happy as I was. Maybe I was scared this entire time, but I was living my life or trying to get a grasp on it. Mm-hmm. And now look where I am. Like,
yeah, you have to. This is the last thing I want to say about this subject. We have some other things written down. Really, two main things. Once you figure out your plan, you research, develop it, you literally create a fucking business plan. You have to create a business plan. I Googled and researched all this stuff about what a proper business plan is. Make a business plan. Make a mission statement. You want to get that stuff together. You want to have a website. We're going to talk about more of like the details of that.
We do want to get into the details of all of this, and we're going to do it like chapter by chapter. But yeah, if there's one thing, do what we said. Write all your goals and dreams down if you had nothing stopping you.
And if you have $150 in your bank account, go to the fucking Capitol, whatever it is. It's the secretary. Get your LLC, your sole proprietorship, your partnership with your buddy. Make it official. No more excuses. This is an official business. Then you spend 20 hours. You learn how to
Instagram.
You create a Facebook and Instagram. You learn how to make a one-page stupid website, whatever it is. If it's a grass cutting business, take a picture with your iPhone of you cutting the grass. Do
stock photography. Do the research. Find all the. There are so many free tools out there.
There's so many free tools.
Redonkulous that people have some shitty, unprofessional looking shit because.
Yes. If you are
I said I wasn't gonna cuss this episode, but I had to.
We're getting a little heated. Yeah, it's good.
People got, and that maybe that's the eye too. Mm-hmm. But I mean, have everyone look at it. Go find somebody that has a really beautiful website and go, hey, like, I'm creating this website. It's my first time. You know, pull the little like card, like, it's my first time. I don't know what I'm doing. Please just let me. Just if you had 5 tips, please, I would love to. 10 minutes of your time.
But really, YouTube has that shit, right?
YouTube does too. But I mean, if you needed that really tangible and you're looking for a mentor, email 100 people. One person will email you back, and that's going to be the one person that's like gold. They're the one person that was like, ooh, I want to help this person. That's like if you had reached out to Cole and I
would have done it.
And me more so. Cole would type you a paragraph. I'd fucking call you up and
I'd be like, why are you fucking talking to this person this long? So, she'd be like, oh, I just wanted to help. And I'd be like, we have shit to do. But you know what?
Don't be scared, people. Or be scared, but do it anyways.
Do it anyway. I swear to God, I'm going to say it one more time. Fucking do it. I'm going to say it for the people who won't clean. Just do it. Do it. And I know people say this on YouTube videos and motivational videos. You really just have to start. And then we'll go into what happens next because there's a lot that happens next. But you have to start. Please quit your job. Oh, last little story. I worked for this company, and they might see this. I don't know, but it was actually really hilarious. The way I worked for this company. It was my last job before I was going solo, and I was like, I pretty much felt like I was starting to get some real estate photography clients, which I'll talk about that in another episode about how I actually got them. And I was getting like, I think I could do this, and so I wanted to let them know, like, I'm probably going to start doing something else here shortly. And
you gave him a 2 weeks notice.
I think it was 2 weeks. Yeah, it might have been a month, but I was like, just want to let you know I'm going to be fading away because it was a job where I just sat at home and I had to do all my stuff on the computer, which sounds great, but I was still miserable at that because it's not what I wanted to do. I was making money myself, and I was like, I can't really. It's hard to focus on this, and I felt bad almost. So I sent them this email and told them what was going on, and they were like, "Well, you can just quit today," and I was like.
Like, I'm not ready to quit.
Yeah, I was like not ready at all. And it was just like 9 a.m. that morning. I was planning on at least 2 more weeks and a couple more paychecks or something.
We can get into that too and like the other ones, but sometimes I wonder if it was maybe the way that he sent the email.
There's no telling.
Yeah, right? And so we're going to get into like being professional and wording stuff because right now, like, we have a new employee. Mm-hmm. Am I allowed to mention his familial status?
Oh my God.
But anyways, he's learning a lot. He's 18. He's totally worth the investment, but it's like a crash course for him. And the other day he sent like this group text.
That was hilarious. Oh, save that.
Technically his employees, but I won't tell him what he said, but it was effing hilarious he said.
You never know what you say. Yeah. Or sorry, that didn't make sense.
And that's the mind we're going to get into the mind shift and learning how to empower yourself, own yourself. Everything we've learned in our struggles with finances.
On episode 2.
All of that.
Episode 2 of this series, starting a business, running a business, figuring shit out in a business. If you're creative, want to be an entrepreneur, artist, healer, spiritual, regular old dude who dropped out of college or graduated college. Check this stuff out.
You can start anytime. It's never too late to start.
It is never too late.
Never too late to start.
All right, we're going into episode 2.
All right, peace.
Peace. See you in another world. 5D, bitch.